Yesterday, I started the book or film review, okay, according to your subject planner. All right, so we will be covering this. So obviously, before you start writing it, I always demonstrate how to analyze the questions and plan the questions, etc., etc. Okay, so just to recall a bit of what you did yesterday. So basically, we identify the features of a book or film review, and then you read a story, okay, by Roald Dahl, and the story is called The Landlady, and we are going to plan a book or film review correctly, okay? But to start off, we will look at a book, the printed version, okay? And the printed version, so I picked this one because they are only 5 pages, so which doesn't take a lot of time for you to read online, okay? Now, and fantastic, because yesterday a lot of you did this. Okay, so let me go to the classroom. So I have the text which I shared with all of you. Okay, here I sent a copy to what is it? I posted a copy and asked you to open it, and a lot of you completed your work. I want to show that Jason one, he did very well. Okay, you can read my comments, but especially this last 2 questions. What do you think had happened to the main character? So Jason put down here the answer: being poisoned by the landlady, and his corpse is being stuffed together with other pets of the landlady. So the answer, this answer is really excellent. But how do I know it? Instead of just like, oh, he was killed by the landlady, he took an extra step to go and talk about how he was killed by the landlady, and you know, things like that. So I think this is very good. This type of the quality of answer is good. If these questions carry 3 marks, this would definitely be a 3 out of 3 rather than a brief answer like he was killed by her. Okay, now who do you think the landlady actually was? So he starts with, I think she's a witch because she collects corpses as if she's preparing for a cult ritual which requires dead bodies. Okay, and because this is a personal response question, so you are free to give anything, you know, that you think is possible. But it must be based on the text that you read. You based on the conclusions that you make about this weird, wacky, strange behaving woman. Okay, and I think his answer is really good because it's relevant. It seems that she stuffs things in the house, okay, to keep them for as long as possible with her in the house. Okay, she probably is very lonely, or she probably, you know, like needs a companion, and she's afraid of losing people or losing things that she loves. Some people are like that, and then they would rather be with the person. Okay, now, so this is one of the good answers. Okay, so I just want to show you that some good ones, so that you feel motivated to actually put in effort, the extra effort, go the extra mile, okay, in doing your work. Because I notice, you know, everything that you do extra, you don't bother to do, I notice it. Okay, so of course, I want to credit all the positive learning attitudes and behavior. Okay, so well done. Now, for today's lesson, I'm going to continue with book or film review, which is part 2 of the landlady's topic, which I started yesterday. And then I have got a slide, which I also just uploaded just before you entered the class, because I don't want you to look at the content first. And then I also have created a Google Doc, which I would use to show you how the lessons is planned. Okay, so I like to do things step by step in an organized manner. Okay, so the learning objectives, we are sticking to the 3rd one, how to approach the questions and plan the structure as of the review correctly. Okay, now starter. We did this yesterday, so I'm going to skip this again. Okay, and then a lot of you did this. Okay, go to today's topic. Okay, so I'm done with what I did, you know, just to recall some of the your memory of what we covered yesterday, in case you have short-term memory loss. Huh? Okay, now, which I don't think so, because all of you are much younger. Okay, now let's say supposedly this is the questions that you get in your mock exams or in your final exams in May, June. Okay. Now you receive a storybook, the landlady from a friend last month. After reading it, you decide to write a review of the story for the bulletin board of your school library. Okay. Here are some thoughts the story has given you. So you thought about this, you finished reading it. So I give you two. Okay, the story is full of mysteries and suspense. And the other thought of yours is the cliffhanger is mind-blowing. It's like, wow. Okay, now, is there anyone who doesn't know or who think they know what a cliffhanger is? Okay, is there anyone? Anyone who do not know or who roughly know what a cliffhanger is? It's all right. Okay, I can explain it here. Now, okay, you see, sometimes you watch a movie. At the end of the movie, or you read a book, at the end of the chapter or the book, you do not know what actually happens to the main character, whether he or she is dead or alive, whether he or she survives an attack or survives an illness or survives a traumatic experience. And you sometimes don't know whether the main character, the male and the female, do they get together or not in the end. That means whether they are in a relationship, whether they still, survive their marriage or not, or whether they get married and live happily ever or not. Okay, I mean like happily ever after. Okay, so things like that. Okay, if the story doesn't give you a very fixed, definite conclusion or ending, that means it is a cliffhanger. Okay, now like the famous Harry Potter series, it carries this type of like cliffhangers a lot. Almost every one of the sequels, right, is a series, right? So each sequel does not really have a fixed ending, so that that the writer J.K. Rowling, she could further develop from this sequel into the next one and the next and the next until the final, okay, like piece. Okay, now so this would allow creativity, and also it engages the reader, because when you don't get the solutions, the ending or the answer, you will be intrigued, okay, to wait and get the next book. Okay, until you get it, then you will be reading it like crazy, and then like, so this is how author or even publishers, they actually hook their potential readers or customers, okay, by through suspense and curiosity. Okay, so there are many methods. Okay, even some writer within a book, okay, if the book has got 10 chapters or 30 chapters, sometimes at the end of every chapter, they don't reveal the answer as well. They will make you, okay, feel interested, so curious that you want to read on to the next chapter. And then the next chapter and next chapter. They wouldn't provide you the ending for that particular chapter. They want you to move on. So this is also the same tactic that they are deploying to hook their audience or the readers. Okay, now back to this one. Okay, so I suppose that you are quite clear about what a cliffhanger is now. Now, so you have to write the review for your school library. The comments above may give you some ideas, and you can use some ideas of your own. So there are only two ideas, and those ideas, okay, do they sound positive or negative? What do you think, students? Like these two ideas. The story is full of mystery and suspense. The cliffhanger is mind-blowing. Do they sound positive or negative? What do you think? Positive, Salvin? Good. Okay, right. Thanks, Ziad. Okay, since they are very positive, so do you think they should be put in the same paragraph, or do you think they should be in their separate paragraphs? Okay, let me repeat my questions. Since the two comments are very positive, does it mean when you plan your essay, you should put them in the same paragraph, or should you separate them in different paragraphs? Separate. Okay, so Sabine thinks that it's to separate. Okay, now, right, doesn't matter. We will find out, yeah? Thanks a lot for contributing, Sabine. Okay, now, do feel free to speak up, okay? It can be both, right? Okay, true. Thank you, Zia. It depends, actually. It depends on the questions, okay? Now, so now let me move on to the next slide. So we have already, like always, when we get the questions, the very first step after reading the questions is to what? Who can tell me what is the first step right after reading a question? According to your understanding of my teaching style, what do I emphasize a lot whenever you analyze or whenever you try to answer essay questions in the exams? What do I emphasize a lot, students? What do I always tell you to do after reading the questions? Okay, when you read the questions, okay, good. I'll repeat the questions, yeah. Okay, when just say this is the questions you get in the exam. After reading these questions, do you pick up your pen and straight away write your essays, the review out like a mad person? Or do you do something first before writing it out? So, and if you have to do something first, okay, what is that? Step number one, which I emphasize a lot every time when it comes to an essay writing question. Like share her answer. Get more ideas about our article or the review. Okay, yeah, but how do you get more ideas? Yeah. So what is this step one? After you read these questions, okay, the next step you have to start something, but the writing is the last part. Before you write from the introductions to the conclusion, what is the step one that you must do first to get more ideas? Very good. See, yeah? Yes, identify the audience and purpose. Thank you. Okay, scanning. Okay, scan is when you start planning for your body paragraphs. Yeah. Okay, good. Right. So obviously you did learn something. Okay. Let me get back to this one. Okay. Right. So I moved on to the next slide. Okay. Let's find out. Okay. Now, so usually the next step is we have to structure the review. Because this is a review, so I put a review. If it's a magazine article, so structuring your article. If it's a letter, structuring your letter. Structure means how to put them in place from the beginning to the end. There must be a procedure or a process. Okay, you cannot put body introductions in body 3, body 2 comes first, and then conclusion comes in as body 3. It doesn't make sense. So you have to structure it properly. Okay, now, so it always begins with step number 1, and it starts with the letter A, analyze. Analyze the questions. So from this question, okay, the questions itself has already revealed a lot of information, but it is up to you, okay, and my responsibility is highlight to you how to approach it so that your essay will be consistent. At the end of it, you answer these questions and not straying outside the topic, okay? Now, so you analyze the register. Okay, register means the format. Is it a letter? Is it an email? Is it an article? Is it a report? Or is it a review? And obviously, in this case, it is a review. But even review, there are a lot of types. Is it a book review? Is it a film review? Is it a song review? Is it a productions, theatrical performance review? Is it a musical concert review? There are a lot of reviews, okay? But what your syllabus basically focuses on is mostly books, novels, books, film, concerts or maybe like art exhibitions review, this type of like learning trip reviews, yeah, that kind of thing. So slowly I will expose you to different types of review. But whatever it is, the format or the structure is the same. The introduction, what you must put in is roughly the same. Body 1, 2, 3, and the conclusions, they are roughly the same. You will go by the 5 paragraphs methods, okay, for the safest. And each paragraph need not to be too long. You know, about this is good enough. 4 or 5 sentences, 1 topic sentence, 3 supporting sentences, 1 concluding sentence is good enough, okay? Now, anyway, you don't have much time also, okay? And I would rather you finish the essay than leaving it halfway and then, you know, because of the shortage of time. So next, you will analyze the audience, okay? And then moving on, you have to identify the purposes of this writing task and what role that you are playing as you write this review, okay? May I move on, move back to the previous slide? Okay, so you see, after reading it, you decide to write a review. So obviously, the register is a book review because this is a short story. It's in the printed editions. It's not a digital copy. So the audience, okay, how do you know who it is for? Okay, there, you see, now you decide to write a review of the story for the bulletin board of your school library. Okay, so definitely those people who read your review will be teachers, students, and you know, people, staff who work in the school. Okay, and the purpose, because you are sharing what you think, what you feel about the story that you have read. So definitely you're not telling a story. So it's definitely not to narrate, never to narrate. You are writing to inform. You are informing about your what you think, your opinions about this this short story, The Landlady. Okay, what you like or dislike, what you recommend, and so on. Okay, so the purpose is none other than to inform, only one. Okay, the role, you are obviously a student because it says for your school library, so you're a student. Okay, so supposedly you're a year 11 student. It doesn't matter which year you're in, okay? Now, but you are writing as a student. Now, so once you have analyzed these, okay, it will put you in a very firm understanding of what is expected of you in your next step, step 2, which is planning the essay or the review. So step 2, you have to plan the paragraphs, okay? The standard, as I always mention, there are 5 paragraphs, the head, the tail, and the body paragraphs. And usually it doesn't have to be more than 3, unless the one that we did before on magazine article, like comparing whether it is good to get a job after finishing high school or to continue your studies. Because there are 2 subjects which requires your comparison and evaluations. So you have to talk about the pros and the cons for each. So that's why it's best to have 4 body paragraphs. But for book review and even the convenience food one, it doesn't need to have that because there's no comparison involved. So you just stick to 3 for body paragraphs is good enough. Okay, then I want you to refer to the Google Doc created for further information. So your last step, once you have planned everything, you have written the whole essay out or the review out, you will have a last read for spelling, vocabulary, and sentence errors. Sometimes even punctuation errors. Okay, you realize that you forgot to put a comma after besides that, and you quickly add it on to your paper, your essay. Okay, so now I would like to move from this slide back to our Google Doc, this one. Now, so I will skip the questions now. We moved on to the planning part. How to approach the question. So the register, obviously, it is a book review. Okay, the audience will be school community. That includes the students, teachers, etc., etc. Okay, the purpose is to inform because you want to inform about what you think and feel about this book. Okay, and the role, who are you? You are a student. Okay, uh-oh, I mix up the S. Okay, right? So now, so things like that. Okay, so the next step will be, okay, to plan the body paragraphs. Okay, I've briefly given you some guidelines, okay, planning the paragraphs. For example, introduce the title and the author. Now, you don't want to go straight away to the body paragraph. Then the reader, or when your review is pasted, okay, on the school library's bulletin board, then everyone is scratching their head, you know, like holding their chin, and they wonder which book that you're talking about, who the author is, etc., etc. So it's best to actually, okay, introduce the title and the author. And do you know who the author of The Landlady, students? The story that you read yesterday. Do you know who the author is? This one. This story that I shared with you, that you read, only 5 pages. Okay, any ideas who the writer is? That's right. Very good. Thank you, Jasmine. Okay, roll down. Okay. Now, anyone, you know, like anyone here that this is the very first time that you heard about Roald Dahl's name? Can you just let me know? It's okay that you don't know who the hell this person is or this dude is. Definitely he's not Uncle Roger. Okay. Now, it is okay. It's like, wow, what Roald Dahl? Is he a singer? Is he a celebrity? No idea. Fine, it's all right. But because I didn't know about him also until I taught his work. Okay, now so there's no hurt feeling at all. Okay, now he is actually a famous. He was a famous writer. Okay, mainly children's books writer. Okay, but that will come. I will come to that part later on. Okay, so please allow me to go back to the Google Doc, and then we will talk about this part. Okay, now you see, introduce the title and the author, mention the genre, briefly provide some facts about the story. Now you notice that I've highlighted this part in yellow, and yet I didn't disclose what kind of information or facts about the story to put in. So that means it is no definite answer. Okay, so any kind of facts, as long as it's relevant, you can put it in here. So for example, okay, facts such as the date of publication, if you remember, okay, or the where, okay, like, or maybe where it was first launched. The book, where it was first launched, you can also give this type of facts. Or you want to give facts about the author, okay? Like maybe facts, what is that? The author's life, okay? Or his famous works, okay? Apart from The Landlady, okay? So something like this. Okay, etc. I put etc. Okay, so that means anything which is merely for the purpose of informing the reader, okay, should come into this body introduction because they are general information. All right. Now, after that, when we move on to body 1, we will give a synopsis or summary of the story. We don't want to put the synopsis here because sometimes the synopsis can take up 3 sentences. Then sometimes it make it like, you know, like, or maybe even slightly bold. You can actually make the synopsis into a decent paragraph of 4 to 5 sentences. But if you mix them, okay, include this part of information in the introduction will be too long. And I always tell you, don't write your introductions with more than 5 sentences. Keep it less than within 5 sentences. That is the best. Okay. So here you give a synopsis or summary of the play of the story, not the play of the story. Yeah. Okay. Now, for example, The Landlady. What kind of summary synopsis you should give? Okay, it shouldn't be, you should mention, obviously, you should mention the main character. Okay, okay, character and characters, because there's a big protagonist, okay, that is like Billy, and then the landlady. Okay, for example. Then you want to talk about the setting. Okay, setting, where did this happen? Where did he go to? He go to Bath, okay, which is a city in, okay, in England. Okay, yeah, something like that. Okay, and then maybe the purpose of heading to Bath. So you give a synopsis that includes this bullet points as your information. Okay, purpose of heading to Bath. Okay, and then, like for example, then, okay, you talk about the rest of thing is like, okay, came across a cheap, what is that? A cheap guest house. Okay, yeah, with good deals. You don't want to mention with bed and breakfast provided. You say like with good deals, for instance. And then moved on, you can talk about, okay, now the landlady, okay, acts, okay, like weird, okay, something like that. But you know, okay, you don't want to give away the ending of the story. Or else, no one, trust me, nobody after reading your review would go to buy this book or go and watch a film if you're writing a film review. They will say, "Che, you are killer, you know, like kill the, you know, like all the fun, the joy spoiler, things like that." Or maybe they say bottom steam, you know, like a lot of things that because so you don't want to give away the ending. You want to engage the reader by making them feel curious, feel excited, feel interested in the story so that they would go and get a copy themselves and read. You know, there is a purpose of reviews because you want to sell the books, you want to sell the movie, okay, the movie tickets. You are not going to give away the ending, okay? So you can say that somehow or rather, a lot of the, you know, he came across and that is where he meets a very a lady, the landlady who is in her 50s, who acts rather strangely. Okay, and everything in the house that he has experienced also tells him is the telltale signs that something is amiss. Amiss means something is wrong. Okay, so you just leave it there, end it there. Okay, you need not go on and say that, you know, like a lot of those things like that, because you want to end it just there so that reader will wonder, oh, so what's wrong with this landlady? How strange is she? What did she do? And what would happen to Billy in the house there? Then that is how they will go and get a book and buy it and read it. You get what I mean? So just stop there will do. Okay. Now, but don't make it like, don't just end it like, and the ladies act strange and full stop. Then it sounds like it's incomplete. So how to make it sounds like you are engaging the reader, holding back the mystery and suspense, yet not making your paragraph sounds like it's incomplete or hanging. How to do that? You can say like, okay, what is that? To find out more, okay, heads down to the nearest bookstore and grab a copy for yourself. Or you can say like, what is that? If you're interested to find out more, okay, why not get a copy for yourself today? Something like that. So that's it. Edit this way. Okay. Now your body too. Okay. So far is everything okay? I have covered body one already. You know the summary. If you are still lost, okay. I hope no one is lost because I am quite, I'm not slow, but I am in control of a good pace of the lesson. But I want to make sure that all of you understand what I just talked about, okay? Now, so I will move on now to body two, okay? Now, body two, you have to talk about You know, I always tell you, your body paragraphs must have a topic sentence. So a topic sentence doesn't have to be too long, just go straight to the point so that the readers are aware that what you are going to cover in this paragraph. Okay, so I put a topic sentence here. The story would certainly make a great read due to its many strengths. Okay, you can put a full stop, but because I want you to plan, that's why I put a colon. Okay, so this is a topic sentence. It signals to the examiner or to the reader that, oh, okay, now in this paragraph, I'm going to talk about the strengths of this story. The strengths here doesn't mean distract, okay, that means the plus points, the positive things about this story, okay, the good things about the story. Okay, so this one, you can talk about a lot of good things. Okay, but what is it, the good things? It is very individual. So you might find that the suspense, okay, you can refer to the questions. The story is full of mystery and suspense. You can use this as a strength and say that so it is very engaging. It makes the reader, it gets the reader hooked from the beginning to the end. Okay, completely engaging them. But don't forget that this command can also be used as a weakness for body 3. You can say that the story has got too much of mystery and suspense, that sometimes it can be too vexating for your brain, too exhausting, okay, for your brain to process all the information, and then like or sometimes the mystery and suspense don't piece together nicely. So you have to read it a few times to actually understand it better. You can say that way. It is all about individual perceptions. Okay. Now, but if you put it into the strength, you have to elaborate a little bit further. You can talk about why it is full of mystery and suspense. In what way the mystery and suspense is good, because you're talking about strengths. Okay, now, and you give examples. How is it mystery? What kind of examples of mystery and suspense? Like, for example, we don't know who exactly the landlady is. We don't know her background. Okay, after you read the story at the end, it is still not revealed who exactly she is. We can only guess that, like in Jason's reading comprehension's answer, he says he thinks that she is a witch. Well, someone else may think that she is a widowed mother who lost her child, okay, and she is still mourning, or she has experienced some loss or death of a loved one that makes her now so attached to objects that she must keep, okay, she must resort to killing them, stuffing them meaning turning them into a mummy, to mummify the body, okay, and make them into like objects, okay, that sticks or stays in the house or remain in the house, okay, so that she feels that, oh, nothing has changed, okay. Some people, they cannot cope with loss. They lost someone they love. They cannot get over that. So they are always living in the past. They try to preserve the room of the lost, the dead person, exactly as when they are still alive, so that they feel that they are still in the house with them. I'm not surprised. I also read before about some strange news where, like couples who have been long married for, they have been dating since high school, and then they are each other's first marriage also. And then so basically they spend their entire life of 60 or 50 over years together. So when the spouse died, either the surviving one cannot cope with the grief, the loss, they will hold on to the body. They will keep the body in the house, even the body starts decomposing, right? Or rotting, right? They will still keep the body in the house. They will have life as normal as, with the dead body in the house, even it's smelly. But this is how, to them, it's not smelly, it's whatever, because they cannot handle the grief. I read news like that. Okay, so maybe this lady is not a witch. She could be someone who has gone through a lot of trauma. She cannot cope with the loss. She has to kill people and turn them into mummies and to keep them in the house. You can, why not? So there's a lot of mystery and suspense about this woman's true identity here. So you can talk about that is why this story is very interesting. It's something different. Okay, you can say that, oh, the strength, the cliffhanger is mind-blowing. But why the cliffhanger is mind-blowing? You said that because it allows the reader to think for themselves. Okay, it opens the reader's horizons to a lot of possibilities about what could have happened to Billy. He could probably be dead, stuffed and turned into a mummy already in the house. He could be, maybe he could be, what is that? Not stuffed, but he could be cut out and his organs have been donated or sold or whatever. And then, just preserve his empty shell, the body. Or maybe he's not dead, but, God knows what. So you can use your creativity. So that is why there is a reason of cliffhanger. It makes the reader, right, after watching a movie, after reading a book, they would still spend 2 or 3 hours minimum or maximum days to think about the story. That makes a very, very successful novel or very successful movie because even after days, okay, a lot of us, when we finish a book, right, we just slam it shut, put it aside, and that's it. It probably sits on the shelves and collect dust. Okay, or we watch a movie, we come out, oh, that was a good movie, ha ha ha, you enjoy the laugh and come up, and that's it. The next moment, you probably forget about it. But there are some movies, like for me, I personally have watched when I was a teenager or when I was in my 20s. Until now, I can still relate to it as closely as possible because certain elements of the movie have resonated with my life experiences or maybe have connected with my heart. You get what I mean? So this is a thing you can talk about in the strengths when you elaborate it. Okay? Now, so I put 3 bullets. You can have one more. Okay, so you can say it has a lot of mystery and suspense. The cliffhanger is mind blowing. You can say that another strength is that the story is not too long. The pace is very fast. So it's like the guy just arrived in the bath and immediately he bumps into this guest house and he comes across this weird lady and and he discovers that something is very wrong about this lady herself and also the environment in the house. Okay, and then he discovered 2 names in the guest books and this name sounds very, so all of these things you can talk about the mystery, but don't narrate the story again, because then again you are going to repeat what you have just done in body 1. Secondly, you will end up giving away the ending again, so don't do that. Okay, so just mention the pace is short. So it's like the entire stories takes only 5 pages. So for people who with very little time and yet they enjoy fictions, this is a good read. So that's it. Okay, just keep it nice and simple. Then you will move on to body 3. Okay, now so far I finished introductions, body 1, body 2. I have 2 more paragraphs to cover. Okay, I want to check on you. Do you have any questions for me about this topic so far? So if you don't have any questions, I suppose no news is good news. So we are going to move on to body 3 and then the conclusion. When probably problems or questions might start coming in when you get hands-on, okay, to start preparing, to do the planning yourself. Then slowly you will come across that, oh, you have certain problems, and that is fine, okay? You can ask later, it's okay, right? Now let's move on to body 3. So again, I give a topic sentence. However, there are certain areas which would need improvement. You can put which would need further improvement if you want. If not, you just put improvement is fine. Now, please note that I use connectives, however. Why? Because I just covered the positive things. When I want to move from positive to negative or vice versa, I talk about something bad, then now I want to move on to something good about it. You have to change, give the signal, okay? Otherwise, the examiner or the reader would assume that you are going to carry on with the second benefit or the third benefit. You know, for this review, you cannot have, let's say, okay, you see like these two sounds like they are the strengths, correct? Just now I remember Sabine and Ziyad, they mentioned during the chat when I asked the question, do you put the 2 points together in one paragraph or do you separate them? Okay, there have been two opinions. Okay, one is you can put them separately. One, it depends, it can go both. Okay, yes, in this case, right, I would suggest that you put all of the strengths in one paragraph and all of the benefit, disadvantage, the problems or the weaknesses in another paragraph. Don't separate the strengths. Like for example, you can have three. One is it is full of mystery and suspense. The other one is cliffhanger, is mind-blowing. And the third one, the story pace is just nice, not too long and exhausting for the readers to read. So these three, if you put them into a separate paragraph, you are going to have three strengths in three different paragraphs. And then what about your weaknesses? You're going to have three more. So altogether, your body 2 and 3, you already have 6 paragraphs. Plus your body 1, the synopsis, that is 7. Plus your intro, that is 8. Plus your conclusion, that is 9. Wow, this is too much. That is why I don't recommend separating all the strengths and weaknesses into a single one. Don't do that. Put all of the strengths in one paragraph. Likewise, do the same for the weaknesses. Okay, now, so here we have already mentioned, put these 2 points, this one and this one. Okay, here. Include the third one, which is the short pace, which makes it good. Now, so now we move on to the weaknesses. Okay, what kind of weaknesses do you think this story, the landlady, would have? What kind of? What do you think? Anyone wants to talk about what you find not so satisfactory about this story? That is when what you can put in your body 3. Whatever you don't think, you don't quite enjoy, then you can put it in body 3. Is there anything that anyone would like to share? Oh, you don't know. So that means you have no questions, right? Okay, thank you. So Mugi saved all of you from all the trying efforts. Okay, now we moved on, yeah? So I go to body 3, the weaknesses. Is that okay? Now, the weaknesses, okay. So you can talk about, you see, I don't want to spoon feed you all of the things. I want you to think, okay? So the strengths are quite easy to identify because this story really stands out in some way. But the weaknesses, probably you can't find any weaknesses, okay? Probably, yeah, I'm just talking about possibility. There are some stories or films that are so awesome that you just can't find any fault with it that needs further improvement. But I'm sure there's no perfections because the world itself is imperfect one. Okay, so there is something, everything is good, but something can be further improved on. Okay, like for example, maybe you can suggest, okay, how things can be further improved. You can say like, it would be better, maybe, like the author, okay, like elaborate a bit further about, how Billy probably stumbles upon a huge discovery. Okay, he made a huge discovery in the house of the landlady. Maybe he found where Mr. Mulholland and what is the other one? One is Christopher Mulholland, the other one is Mr. Templar. Probably he stumbled upon, a secret kept by the landlady about the whereabouts of these two young men who have disappeared for years. So he found out something about them. So you can give that kind of suggestions. Like there's a lot of mystery being built and suspense being built around these two names that ring some sense to Billy. He felt that the names are familiar. He has seen them somehow in newspapers making the headlines. So then you can say that probably it's good that roll down, okay, elaborate further, the story further to the extent where at least Billy discovered what actually happened to Mr. Mulholland and Mr. Templar before the landlady bumps in and that kind of thing. Then you just edit there the cliffhanger. So you can have these type of things you suggest. Okay, don't be too passive and you just receive whatever the film productions crew or the author feeds you. Sometimes take the initiative to think and questions. Okay, what can be done in a different way? Okay, now so then the second improvement or suggestions that you can put forward could be like, say for example, you can talk about like maybe the identity of the landlady. You can say that while the mystery around the true identity of the landlady is intriguing, okay, but it would be good. It would be good if Roald Dahl can actually give, the reader a bit more background info about this lady, somehow or rather, okay, through her conversation with Billy while they are sitting down and having tea in the living room. Okay, for example, like Billy picks up that this lady is weird, that on her body there's a kind of odor. Okay, it's like something like hospital, chemical, but he couldn't quite understand what exactly it is. Okay, so from this type of bits and pieces and informations, we can actually make inference that this lady probably she has very good knowledge about the human anatomy. If you don't know the human anatomy, do you think you can stuff the cats which is dead? She stuffed her dog, the Dachshund, after the dog is dead, she stuffed her parrot bird, according to the story. And you are stuffing a adult male, my God, the body, the organs inside, the blood, the liquid, how to drain it off, how to preserve the body as dry as possible and all that. If you want to stuff something, it's not easy. And how to use the chemicals, how much of chemical to use for a body of a certain height and or mass weight. You need to know. This all requires medical knowledge. So I'm sure she has, and how can she has access to all these controlled medical liquid? You cannot just go to a hardware shop and say, hey, I want to buy the acid. They would not sell you, because these are all controlled industrial chemicals. They are highly flammable and they're highly dangerous. If you spill the acid on your body, you get burned, you can get disfigure your body, you can even die. So, and whether you're buying it to kill people or what, they want to know, like explosive. You cannot buy the explosive, from a hardware shop or from anywhere. So, but this lady seems to have access to this type of chemicals. So doesn't it make you wonder, like what kind of background could she be? What kind of identity could she be hiding? So you can say like, there's a lot of questions marks about this landlady. While the suspense is really fascinating, it's very successful, very well crafted. Okay, however, if Roald Dahl could actually provide more information about shed more light about the identity of the landlady, it would make it even better. You get what I mean? So say something like that, put that in your review. It will make the examiner jaw drop at your, you will just take their breath away. They'll say, wow, this is a very good, critically aware and thinking students. Wow, this is so well observed, you know. So do things like that, okay, that can help you score more marks in your exams. Okay, now I moved on, yeah. So probably you can have 2 weaknesses if there's nothing else to talk about. But if you would like more, then you can say, you know, as I said before, what is positive can be negative to someone else. So like if these 2 comments here, you would like to give it a, would like to put them in the weakness paragraph. You can. You just say that, you know, while most people enjoy a good cliffhanger, I find it rather puzzling. That means very confusing. You can do that. You don't have to follow the mainstream. What most people like about cliffhanger, if you don't like it, just say you don't like it. Okay? The examiner is not going to penalize you for your preferences because this is ultimately this is a personal review. What you think and feel about the story and what you feel might not be the same as what your friends feel, and that is fine. Okay, so as long as you don't talk like a cartoon, you know, like, you know, without solid reasons. If you can say that a lot of people enjoy a good cliffhanger, but I personally find it quite mind-boggling, then, you know, like I prefer stories that have got clear resolutions, you know. So I would appreciate, you know, if the if roll down could actually you know, like show something like whether Billy is has met with his death, or maybe he has managed to escape in the night, you know, while the landlady is asleep, something like that. So you can do that as long as it doesn't sound too ridiculous or silly. That is fine. Okay, is that clear, students? So don't try to fit in. Don't try to follow what you think others might write. Don't worry about what others might write. It's your review. So you write according to what you think and what you feel, okay? Unless it's a magazine article like the convenience food, like the getting a job after finishing high school, or continuing your studies after finishing high school. That kind of things, we're talking about facts. We're reasoning, we're comparing the benefits and the disadvantages. So you cannot give something too funny or too personal. It has to be general facts. Okay? Now, so no questions here? Again, okay, good. So let me go to the last paragraph, which is the conclusion. Now, so up to this part, if you have done your introductions, your body 1, body 2, okay, and body 3, according to what I have, you know, advised or what I have been training you to plan, you are actually getting there already. Out of 10, you could probably got 7 out of 10 already. Okay, you are 70% done with this review. So the 30% comes from a good conclusion. Okay, so don't repeat, just like your magazine articles. Don't repeat anything you put in your body paragraphs. You should summarize it. So just say that, okay, this story, you don't have to say this story is really is very good, it's very interesting and exciting. Again, you don't have to make it like that. You just have to give a rating. Okay, you can say like, lastly, I personally, on the scale of 5 stars, or on the scales of 1 to 10, okay, or on the scales of 1 to 5, I would rate this story 5 stars, or I would rate this story, okay, 8 out of 10. So you give this type of rating. It already tells the reader whether you think that this is worth buying or this is worth watching in the cinema or not. So you just give this type of rating, and then you also talk about who would you recommend this story to. You can say that in no sequential order. You can go with the scale first, the rating first, then you talk about whom, to which group of readers that you would recommend this story to. Or you can start by recommending the story to a certain group of readers first, then you talk about the rating. It doesn't matter, okay? Now, it's all about how you flow the ideas, okay? Now, so here you can say like, lastly, Okay, now I would highly recommend this story, okay, or this short story, or this horror short story to, okay, people who enjoy, okay, or to maybe what, to brave readers, or to maybe people who enjoy horrors or gothic air horrors, or maybe people who love, you know, like mysteries and suspense and horrors kind of genres of stories. Or you can say you also would like to recommend this. Maybe you can say this story is is most suitable for people who like horrors, okay, especially teenagers and adults. So you can specify an age group, okay, or people who like fictions or something. You can also you recommend that this, you can also mention that this story sometimes is less suitable for certain group of people. You can say that, okay, you know, books is not so much of a problem. The main concern now is movie, because there are some movies, when you give your movies or film review, you want to talk about how it is not, to which group of people is not suitable. Because there's a lot of scare, a lot of horror, a lot of blood and whatever. If you have health issues, okay, heart complication, you don't want to, you know, like encourage someone with medical conditions to go and watch this kind of horror with zombies, you know, like tearing people's eyes off and then plucking their ears off and you know, like chowing down everything. You don't want to do that kind of thing. So the best is that you tell people that is I would highly recommend this story to people who enjoy, okay, like horror short stories that is full of mysteries and suspense, you know, things like that. And especially if you're a cliffhanger lover, this is definitely for you. Okay, now it is less suitable for people who have, you know, let's say who do not enjoy fictions. Okay, because you might find this, what is that, like very unrealistic. So something like that. Okay, now then you said like, and lastly, on a scale of 5 star, I will rate this 5 out of 5. Okay, so what are you waiting for? Something like that. Okay, now, or maybe, why not? Okay, now just why not click on, okay, the link below and what's that, and purchase a copy online today. So if let's say you want to you want to encourage them to buy online, so the ebook, okay, or to go to Amazon.com, or go to you know, like some other barnesandnobles.com and to buy a copy. So please do that. So you don't have to make the link, but you just say like, what are you waiting for? Okay, click on the link below, okay, and place a digital copy for yourself right now. Okay, or maybe like, you know, enjoy the discounts of 5, or you know, like 10%. Okay, if you you know, like buy it, okay, like within this date to this date, something like that. Okay, you can do that. But if you don't do that, it is no problem as well. Okay, so that is all. And the last step is, of course, none other than proofreading your writing. Okay, a lot of you have managed to finish the writing on the dot itself, so that you leave yourself with no time to check your spelling, punctuations, vocabulary, and sentence structures. Okay, right. Okay, so basically I've covered how to plan. Now I just want to show you again one thing, the facts here, which I talk about. Okay, now I need to go back to the slide to show you what I mean, like the facts that you can put in your introductions. Okay, now you see, okay, this slide is what you saw on the Google Doc. You go to see this part. Facts about Roald Dahl. Of course, this is taken when he was very young. Okay, now, so you can mention in your introductions, okay, The Landlady is one of the famous works, okay, of Roald Dahl, okay, then a British writer, okay, who was born in 1916, for example, or who was born on 13 September 1916, but you can skip this part also, it's all right. Okay, now you can mention like he was, you know, like he was very famous, okay, or maybe you can say like he had, okay, like over the past, during his lifetime, okay, now of 74 years, okay, he had received many awards, okay, for some of his famous works such as James and the Giant Peach, okay, like Little Prince, I know also, and then the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, okay, like Matilda, okay, something like that. So you can do that. Okay, just give some facts. You don't need to, or you can say that most of he is one of the renowned, okay, writers, okay, of children books, especially, you know, of the genres of fantasies and suspense and horror, for example. So that kind of things is good enough if you can include in your introductions paragraph here. Okay, now sometimes students will ask, come on, miss, I'm in the exam. Okay, how do I know? How do I know all these things? The writers, you know, their background information, their birth year, then and so on and so on. Then this is the first time I came across Roald Dahl, and before our lesson, I don't know who he was. Okay, now then it's fine. You just make up lah. Okay, in the exam, you just make it up. You want to say the landlady, okay, written by my teacher, Miss Christine Ong, also no one cares. You want to say that the landlady was written by Uncle Roger, and you know, things like that, also no one cares. Okay, because honestly, just like your oral test, the examiners is not looking for the exact facts. They are looking towards awarding you the marks for your ability to hold a conversation, to discuss a topic about your oral card. Okay, to sustain the conversation, don't break the conversation, don't pause for too long. How you use words, vocabulary, sentences, okay, how do you pronounce the words? As long as you do it this way, they will give you marks. Even you say that, you give the wrong facts, they will not minus your marks. So the same thing, if you get a question in the exam, ask you to write about a book review and a film review, maybe you have never read a book the whole life, okay? Okay, maybe you want to make up a book that you have read. You've come up with the story, everything. Actually, this book never existed. Is okay as well. Just make things up lah. What is the title? Make up the title of the book, the genre, the author. Even make up the synopsis. Make up the strength. Make up the weaknesses and everything. You know. Actually, you can. I'm not teaching you to cheat or to lie, but I'm just saying that that is a desperate resort. If in the exam, you really have no idea because you have never read a book, you're not a reader at all. The only book that you have read is probably, what is that? Some Japanese anime. Then you make up lah. You don't have to say a Japanese anime. You just say that you use the story plot, put it in the context of the book. You just say, make it up, okay? The examiner will mark you for the content and the language. They don't really go and verify the facts or the truth of the story that you provide or you write about. You understand? Is it all clear now? Okay, good. Now we still have 2 minutes. I want to cover the plenary part. Okay, now let's go to the plenary so that we can end at 3 o'clock, right? Yeah. So how is a review different from a magazine or newspaper article that you have previously learned? Share your views here. Okay, anyone? No idea. Review tells the reader their feelings and thoughts. Okay, very good, Esther. Good. Yes, because article doesn't. Okay, yeah. Article inform facts. Okay, review is less formal because it's more personal. Okay, it's not so much about general facts, but it's more about what you feel and you think. Okay, so the facts might be altered. Okay, what to you is opinions, and it can be different from the facts. Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks, yeah, Esther. I want others. Can you share what other differences that you have noticed in the entire, like the purposes or the content or the intro or the conclusion, anything that you have noticed about the differences of review and of article? Please share your opinions. It's persuading people to buy, yes, to buy a book, to go watch a movie, to go attend a musical concert, to go to an exhibition, to buy the song album. Very good, Esther. Wow, twice Esther has answered. So she, the best participation award probably goes to Esther already, eh? For today's lesson. Come on, I need to hear some other voices. Express the scenes of the shop, huh? What is this part? The scenes of the shop. Review can attract readers easier. Yes, that's right, because it's how you structure the opening paragraph to provoke readers' curiosity. Review gave judgment. Okay, all of a sudden, a lot of saviors, the heroes. Heroes. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, so you may go. I will see you tomorrow. I will see you in school because I have an invigilation. So I'll see you in school tomorrow. Okay? Now, thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu. Bye.